You are listening to a Freedom Student Ministry podcast.
God, thank you for tonight. Thank you that we are back together as a youth group. Thanks for all that you're doing in each of our lives. A lot of times we can't see it, God, but I believe that you're working, you're moving in each of our lives, and that you love each of us really deeply. Pray tonight that each of our ears and our hearts would be open to what you want to share to each of us, and that we'd see and learn something new about your character tonight. Pray this in your name. Amen. All right, so we're starting a new series for the month of January, and it's about relationships, mostly dating relationships, but it can also correlate to friendship relationships too. So I really hope that this series answers your questions about relationships, because I bet you have them. I bet you're like, is it okay to date if I'm 15? Blah, 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 blah. You probably have all these questions, or at least just thoughts about it. Tonight, though, we're going back to the basics. We're going back to just the root. I really believe it's important, Paul, that if we believe in Jesus and we are in really deep relationship with him, that we go back to the basics and remember the character and the truth of God. And I also believe it's important that if we don't know God, we go back to the basics. So basically, it's always important to remember the truths and the character of God, and not forget those, and remind ourselves of those often, to really get them in our heads and in our hearts. And let's face it, we're humans and we forget stuff, so it's good to go back to the basics. It's good sometimes to go back to addition and be like, oh yeah, 57 plus 49 is this. I don't know. Practicing. That's kind of what it's about. So I have a question for you guys. This is for you to answer out loud. What are some things that humans want from other humans in relationships? It can be dating relationships. It can be friendship relationships. What are some things humans want? Nevaeh?
Someone to be with.
Someone to be with. Physical presence. That's good. What else? Nothing's off limits. Just give me some answers. What are some things that humans want?
Honesty.
Yeah.
Unconditional love.
Yes. It's great. Trust.
Someone to share experiences with.
To share experiences with. That's awesome. Anybody else? Anything else? All right. Put together a little list. Some things that I was thinking about too. So one thing that people want is security. Something that people want in relationships. One thing people want is unconditional love and assurance that love is there. It's not going to leave. A deep knowing. So like the person knows you really deeply, right? That's what people want, I believe, in relationships. Satisfaction. I think that's something people look for in relationships. Support. Emotional. Whatever. Trust. Honesty. Communication. Good communication, especially in any relationship, right? And connection, which is kind of what you were talking about too. So I think those are some things that we want. And none of those are bad things. They're all really natural things. They're good, and they are what you should be giving and getting in a relationship to some degree. Tonight, I want to show you, though, how God is actually the one that satisfies all those needs. He can satisfy all those needs perfectly and beyond our understanding and beyond our imagination. God is the one who satisfies those things. Not to say that we shouldn't get them in relationship with other people, not to say that we get all of that from God and we don't get anything good from other people. I'm just saying he's the one that satisfies that. And if we try to look for these things to be fully satisfied in another human being, we're going to be really disappointed, because there is no human being on the face of the planet that ever existed or ever will exist that can truly give you all those things perfectly to your full heart's desire and full content. Like, there is no one who can do that. No family member, no parent, no aunt and uncle, no boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife. No one can give you those things the way that God can. I'm going to share with you a little bit about what that looks like. When people do try to look for those things in other people, what happens? What happens in people's lives when they try to find these things in people's lives, other people, besides them just being disappointed? What else can happen? Get hurt? Yeah. What else? Anybody else? Some things that I thought of that can happen. This one is to an extreme, almost, but divorce can happen when someone is looking for someone else to fulfill all their wants and needs and desires. And that person can't. They get upset. They fall out of love, I'm putting that in quotes, and they're like, I got to go find someone else to try to fill my desires. Divorce can happen. Unhappiness. Just like deep, like unhappiness. Maybe a feeling of constantly searching for love, but feeling like you can never find it. Depression. When you try to find these things in another human, and you're just trying so hard, and you're like, I think this person is it, and then they fail you, that can get you depressed. Sometimes it can make you too needy of other people. Really like, I need you to fulfill this in me, or else I'm gonna burst. You're feeling like something's missing. I'm sorry, I'm totally standing in your way. I don't know what to do. Or you're looking for things from other people that they just can't give because they are not God. So let's look at love. I gave you that whole list of stuff that people are looking for. And it all has to do with love. So we're just going to look at love tonight. Okay? Unconditional love. Assurance of that unconditional love, being sure that it's yours and it's going to be there for you no matter what. And all of us in this room have this natural desire to be loved. It's true. We desire to know that someone loves us so deeply that their love impacts us in the deepest parts of who we are. That's a longing we all have. And we were actually created for love. We were. We were created for relationship. We were created to know and to be known. Yesterday, I was hanging out at Spanaway Lake High School. Where's my Sentinels? You guys are all over here. Wait, you're a former Sentinel. You still, yep, that's right. So I was over at the high school, Pates, and I was eating lunch. Well, I wasn't eating lunch. I was hanging out at lunch. And I saw a girl that I recognized from previous lunches sitting at a table by herself. And she had her earbuds in. Maybe this is a scene you guys have seen before. She had her earbuds in. She was eating her lunch quietly, and she kind of had her head down. She wasn't really looking around. And I just instantly felt for her. And when I go to the lunches, my friend Gary brings donuts to hand out to students. And so once she was done with her lunch, she came over to our table to get a donut. And I looked at her, and I said, hey, what was your name again? And when I asked her that, her face lit up. And I said, so she told me her name, and I told her my name. I was like, hey, how was your Christmas break? And she says, great. She asked how mine was. I said it was great. And then after that encounter, like her face, her eyes lit up, her countenance changed. That means like the look on her face, like it went from looking down to looking like content or like happier. And she was like standing up taller. All because I said hello. I looked her in the eye, asked her her name, and asked her some questions. My interest in her changed her countenance for the rest of the day. And that's just a simple act of love, right? That's just me looking into someone's eyes and being like, hey, how are you? With intention, right? But I know that each of us needs a greater act of love to fulfill and satisfy us. More than just that, right? That'll get you by for a little bit, but we need a greater, deeper act of love to fulfill us and satisfy us. And you could probably think of your own life. Maybe at one point or another, you were really feeling like you needed to be loved. And maybe you also felt like that girl that was sitting at the table, just kind of alone and like, does anybody love me? Or maybe you feel like right now, you just have like this deficiency of love. That means you're not getting enough unconditional love in your life, and it's kind of impacting you negatively. Maybe you feel that way. Maybe you're in a family that like really loves you well. And that is awesome if that's the case. So let's go back to that deep, satisfying, unconditional love of God. So I want to take a look at a few verses that are going to really speak to this love. And this is real, guys. This isn't just imaginary. This isn't just theory. This is real love. So I want you to take the Bibles that were given to you, and I want you to go here. So this is 1 John 4:16. It's going to be way toward the back of your Bible. And if someone finds the page number, would you just shout it out? 1 John 4:16.
And so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them.
Okay, so the most important part I want us to see is the beginning of that paragraph there. It says, God is love. Okay, that's a massive concept. God is love. So this is what we're going to do. For a minute, that's it. I want you to think about, what does that mean that God is love? What does it mean that someone could be love? Like, it's not just that he loves us, it's that God is love. So I'm just going to put some music on. We're just going to think. Our brains are just going to work. Oh, and if you're like, I have no idea what that means, I want you to open your ears and your heart to God and just be like, God, what does it mean that you are love? Okay? Just think about it. Just for a minute.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days, I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
All right. That's all the time I'm giving you right now. But that's something I encourage you to ponder. What does it mean that God is love? When I think about that, when I think about the fact that he is love, I think about all his different attributes and characteristics that show up in the different stories in the Bible. Can I see this real fast? You can. Yeah, that's cool. Look at this thing. There is so much in here. But I think of all the stories, I don't even know them all, of God showing love to people. That's what I think about when I think of God as love. And I also think about how if God is love and I'm in relationship with God, then I have the most perfect, beautiful, secure love that exists. There's nothing more perfect and beautiful and secure than the love of God. And I'm in a relationship with him, and he's inside of me, then I'm set. Easier said than to believe sometimes, but I'm set. I have the most secure love that will ever exist. God will be faithful to me. That's also what it means to me that God is love. He's not going to cheat on me. You guys are in high school. I know that people cheat on each other in high school. I hear about it often. God's not going to cheat on me. He's not going to cheat on you. He's not going to go after other lovers. He's going to stay with me. He's not going to leave me. And I have security in a God who is love. Another verse that I want to show you guys, showcasing his love for us. You don't have to look up. But these, you can write these verses down anyway. This is Deuteronomy. I know it's a crazy title. 7:9. You don't have to look it up. It's this. You can look up here. So it says, know, therefore, that the Lord your God is God. It's kind of a silly verse sometimes to me. Lord your God is God. Oh, okay, duh. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commandments. He's a faithful God. When I think about him, I think about how I have security in him. He's faithful. He's going to stick with me. When I think about how God is love, I think about how he knows me really, really well. I mean, he created me, right? He knows me deeply and intimately. Here's this verse. Indeed, the very hairs on your head are numbered. You're like, what does that mean? Well, God knows you so well that he knows how many hairs you have. And girls, when you brush your hair out in the morning, you get that just like snarl of hairs. He knows how many hairs left your head and how many are on your head now. He knows you that well, right? It's pretty amazing. Psalm 56:8. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. What that says to me is this God who is love knows about all the heartache in my life, and he knows about all the tears I cried last night, because I did cry last night. He knows about them all, and he knows why I was crying, and he comforted me, not even lying. It was amazing. That's how good he is. When I think about how God is love, I think about how he satisfies me completely. All right, I got a video I want to show you. So Bex, can you get the lights? This video is about how God satisfies me and you and how nothing else can satisfy us. So that was just to show you a little bit more. Only God can fully satisfy us. Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. It doesn't mean literally, like you'll never be hungry or you'll never be thirsty. But he means like, I'm going to give you everything you need. That's what Jesus is saying there. And then this is from Psalm 107:9. For he satisfies the thirsty and fills the hungry with good things. So another verse about how God satisfies us. Gives us the things that we need deep down. When I think about how God is love, I think about how he is trustworthy. I see that all over the Bible. He's trustworthy. He's honest. He communicates with me, and he connects with me and wants to connect with me. So how do we know that God is love? I mean, how do we really know that he is trustworthy? That each of us humans can put our trust in him and find real, deep love in him? How do we know that? I'm going to give you the secret, okay? The secret is we simply spend time with God. We read his word. We talk with him. We listen to him in prayer. And we read these verses, like I mentioned, over and over again till they sink in deep and we believe them with the core of our being that God is the one who satisfies and gives us everything we need. That's a secret. And the reason why I say it's a secret, to the deepest love that you could ever have, the deepest love that you could ever need or want or desire or get, the reason why I say it's a secret is because sometimes it feels that way. Like we're like, wait, I need love. I feel like there's a secret to getting me love. We can't figure it out. And I feel like all the while, God's great love is right there for us. I got this image this afternoon of God like kneeling down to propose, all right? And like we're here and our hands out ready for the ring, but we're still looking around like, what else is there for me? What else could I love? What else could love me better than this person right here who's proposing to me? Isn't that silly? But that's what we do. And God's is the greatest love that could ever exist and ever be for us. Is it wrong to get married? No. It's not wrong to get married at all. But when we go looking for someone else to fulfill all those things that we need and want, we are going to be in a world of hurt. We're going to miss out on the best love that we could ever experience. And we're just going to end up with maybe some of those things that I put up on the screen earlier. Divorced or in pain or depressed or whatever. I don't want that for you guys. I don't want that for myself. So I challenge you, dig deep into who God is. Dig deep, because he is not going to disappoint you. Many of you have felt in the past that God has disappointed you or let you down. That's not his character. Get into your Bible, get into a small group, meet with one of us leaders, talk about who God is, and discover that he is really trustworthy and he's really good. And if you remember how I said we need a deeper act of love to satisfy us, you know? Well, if you look in the Bible, and if you really want the true love of Jesus, then you're going to find the deepest act of love ever in the Bible. You may have heard about this before. If you're in church a lot, you hear about it a lot. God said to his son Jesus, okay, go Jesus, be killed on this cross in a brutal way so that all these people that I love can have their sins forgiven and be in relationship with me. God did that for us. The greatest act of love ever. And you're going to find hundreds of other stories in the Bible that will encourage your faith, and you'll see how God is truly love and will satisfy everything that you've ever needed. And then your eyes are going to open, your heart's going to open to all the ways around you that God is showing you love and showing other people love, and it's going to change your life.
You have been listening to a Freedom Student Ministry podcast.